This is a little comment about Lindsey Williams' oil prediction and gold prediction and silver predictions. You're not going to hear Lindsey Williams talk. So if you're looking for Lindsey Williams, it ain't going to be on here. I just want to go over a couple things as far as some of the predictions he's made. And I think one time I was seriously impressed was back in 2008 when he said the oil was going to go up to 147 or whatever, 150, then down to about $40-50 a barrel. And it went like pretty much like clockwork, and I was very impressed with that. So I paid attention to his oil predictions, and very smart that I didn't buy options like some people did probably. And I came out even, which was decent because I held on. But obviously his oil predictions were way off this year. He's talking, and I know I don't need to really hear it from him because there's other talk about devaluing the dollar in 2012. But he's talking the dollar would be devalued by 40% in 2012. Could be good information, but also, back in 1933, when it changed gold from $20 to $35, that was about a 43% devaluation. So let's assume gold follows approximately what the dollar is going to be devalued. Say it's roughly 1,600 today. That would put it up about 2,800. Now, I don't think this is too outlandish. I know some people are saying it's not going to go that high. It's going to take a couple years. I don't think that's too outlandish. I think $2,500 to $3,000 this year is not out of line because the debt crisis that's going on in the world. And this is from my readings. I'm not going by Lindsey Williams per se, but I'd say that's pretty good information. Silver right now, say it's about 30. If it follows this movement in gold, it'd be 53. But if gold goes up that high, silver is going to take off a lot harder and the ratio is going to change. So it's going to probably put it in the 60 to 68 area, around there for this year. And I know Lindsey Williams said probably 75 to 100. Maybe. If it goes up like 75 to 100 this year, I'm going to be selling some physical. Not that I want to get rid of it permanently, but I'm going to take a gamble on selling some physical because I'm not playing this buy and hold garbage anymore. I'm using my own sentences, and you got to go for the most. I think I'm okay on this stuff because, well, I don't know. I got a superstition about certain things. But if silver does go up that high to over $75, I'll probably sell some more physical. I'll probably sell some physical. I know I dumped the PSOV at that time and just take fiat cash, period. Plain and simple. But I'll be waiting around for other opportunities because I think in 2012 there's going to be some serious market fluctuation, more than there have even been back in 2010. They're talking 2010 was volatile. I think 2012 is going to be, and 2011 was volatile. I think 2012 is going to be more volatile. So there's more chance to make money. I'm not advising anybody here. I'm just throwing out what I think. And a lot of times when I actually get into this stuff, I do okay. And I know you call it gambling, but I don't care. I want the money. Now, I could say a little story that my cousin's ex, he gambles professionally. And, in Atlantic City. As a matter of fact, he's so good that the casinos and hotels, the casinos in Atlantic City had him banned in many of them. Pay so much money to go play poker in a legit closed private game. Typically many times in a day you'll win $50,000 off playing poker. And I don't know, just as an interesting little tidbit, because there's so much bullshit going out there. Now, just because, that's kind of like in family or whatever the hell it is. It doesn't mean I know any special information about silver, where it's going. I'm just using the ordinary facts. But I also want to point out I hear so much crap about these people playing out that they got some kind of inside information and they're a bunch of bull throwers. I get sick of that garbage. But I do tell you that he was the number 4 guy in the biggest gambling ring that was ever established in the state of New Jersey. And it was attached to one of those families. So I mean, there's people that, and he's a good guy though. He gives a lot of money to charity. So you know, people think it's such a bad thing. That's bogus. He gives a lot of money to charity. A lot of money. You know, do you think they're bad people? No way. That's BS. That's not true. But I found this article, and I'm getting back on Lindsey Williams. You know, I'm saying, you know, what Lindsey Williams says here, you know, he's giving you advice, basically, what to do with your money. And he's not a financial advisor, and I don't think where his contacts are really the true elite. And I found an article kind of agrees with many of my thoughts. And I think this guy's really on the ball, Joel Scorzin, about Lindsey Williams. And I'd like to read this because this agrees with many things I thought about Lindsey Williams. I think some of his information is pretty good. And I was highly impressed with his prediction he made back in 2008 about the oil. But I'm no longer impressed with anything he's got to say, because pretty much anything he says, it's kind of good to take with a grain of salt, but I get the information other places. He's like an adjunct to that other information that you could normally get from normal channels. He's talking that by the end of 2012, Lindsey Williams claims all private fortunes will be lost that are secured on paper. You know, I hear a lot of people into physical silver say this too. I think there's some truth to this in some ways, because I think in the bond market, they're going to get clobbered. You know, when you actually see debt degraded on the United States again, you know, there probably will be a panic more and more into the physical metals. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen this year. All private fortunes will be lost that are secured in paper. And I agree with this guy. There won't be a total collapse of paper until World War III, and Iran won't trigger the big war. And I agree with that 100%. It's going to be a big fear-mongering thing that there's going to be a World War III over Iran. It might take a little while after that. But when they want World War III, they're going to do it. That powers that be. If there's a plan for it, it's not going to have, you know, it's just going to come about at one time later on. This guy's talking, he was asked frequently to comment on Lindsey Williams' latest revelations that he claims came from insider oil men. And you know, I do know there's all kinds of different insiders out there that aren't in oil, that are very powerful. And they don't tell people anything. And they don't even know themselves. But talking about Ken Fromm, that was his original source. That guy, I think, was a lot better. He later became the head of Arco Oil and was later fired for talking to Williams about holding Gold Island oil off the market. Ken Fromm had since died, and another executive is now the one that's doing the inside information. And I don't trust that stuff at all, to tell you the truth. This guy goes on to say he doesn't believe Fromm was a true insider. That may be true, but he knew some stuff. He knew some stuff. He was able to figure out where oil was going to go. And who cares? You know, if you make money on that information, that's where you want to go. It talks about Fromm. Ken Fromm was probably sincere. I think he was. And it was caught between the threats of government upon his company and his own principles. That's why he wanted to let Williams in on what was going on, you know. But you know what? He goes on to say right here, and I agree with this 110%. No true insider would be talking to a Christian patriot like Lindsey Williams. Now, Lindsey Williams actually is a good guy. I mean, he sells DVDs and takes a million years to say stuff. He is a good guy. But no devil is going to be talking to this guy, telling him all kinds of information. That's just what it is. They're not going to say anything. Period. Um, yeah, this is a very good line here, and I agree with this 110%. Lindsey Williams clearly doesn't understand how the conspiracy works and why his too good to be true relationship, how could it be going, you know, now he should be much more skeptical of who's feeding him part truth and part error. And that's what I think's going on. Lindsey Williams doesn't realize what's going on. I think the guy's 100% sincere, but he's getting fed a mixture of disinformation. But that doesn't mean you can't figure out something, because sometimes they are telling you some good information. Just got to keep out the drama and the end of the world garbage that keeps going on, with this stuff, The powers that be record all telephone conversations and email, especially insiders who might be tempted to talk too much, and all journalists. And you know what? I was a master of dirty tricks on this crap for a long time, so I know about this shit, and I did it at a lower level. Okay? Think the powers that be aren't doing it? People at a lower level were doing it all the time. All the time. The inconsistent thing about Williams' story is that he claimed he was threatened into shutting down his speaking engagements and stopping publication of his book. About the same time Fromm was fired. But then magically news sources started feeding him information again, and he kept peddling stories. That's fishy? Yeah, I'd say that's extremely fishy. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. They would never tell him nothing. But I think some of his information is pretty good. They are creating the turmoil in the Middle East, and you're going to see the price of oil going up a lot. But it's not going to go up in a straight line. That's where I'm figuring out. They're making more off the volatility. You don't want to do a buy and hold. You want to play in and out, and you want to keep some core holdings in case you missed the boat. You didn't caught you all, then you won't miss the boat. But playing off the volatility is a lot better. He says he has no doubt someone's actually talking to Williams, but that person is not on our side, and he's playing with Williams in order to get him discredited. I think so. But you know what? I could see that. And I've been around these kind of guys, and I'm probably worse than them, because I understand them inside and out. After Fromm died, I think the powers that be decided to give Williams some truths and some falsehoods. Obviously. Because he was invited to be all around him. I know what that game is. Williams is rather naive. He's extremely naive. Very self-promoting. And makes him a good candidate for being a sucker. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's playing a part of his sucker. I look at these things on Lindsey Williams, and there's a lot of hits on his page. A lot of hits. But I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, everybody on YouTube is looking for information. They want to know the big secrets. Yeah, I do too. And actually, if you knew it, you can't have 1 million people know it. You can't. Because then it's bad information. It's not going to work. The elite ain't going to freaking expose their game. No way. But I think you got to have like a devil's mind to understand elite. And that's not that hard to do. Fromm's colleague took over from the task of feeding Williams information and started feeding information that correctly predicted a collapse in the price of oil that cemented Williams' reputation. And that's where, I bought into his stuff too. But when I took his oil bet, I was smart enough not to play it the same exact way I think a lot of people played, because I know there's some pissed off people. I saw some in the comments on the net. They bought some options, that the oil would be at least $120 a barrel. They figured it would be safe in that area. I didn't do any of that stuff. And looking back, didn't gain nothing, but didn't lose nothing. But then I started making some by just playing the volatility, and that's what I'm going to play. I'm not going to buy until I think it's cheap enough, and I'll hold it if it drops more, but I'll be buying it less I'm not going to be playing no buy and hold because he's giving out some bad information here. Um, From that point on, Williams was riding high on the claim that he had a perfect track record. And you hear Alex Jones say this all the time. He's 95% right. Well, you know, he's about as 95%. Well, I don't want to knock the guy because I think Lindsey Williams is sincere. He's not BS in the fact that he's deliberately trying to mislead people. He's trying to help people, but they're playing him as a sucker. His sources have been more wrong than right lately, obviously. Very wrong. And you know, when I see that, never trust it. And that's not that I don't trust Williams, but I don't trust where he's getting the information from. But I think there is some stuff that's in there that is good. And I'm not actually using his information 100%. I'm using a mixture of what I see as factual in my own senses of where things are going. But I do think that information as far as the physical metals, that's one of your best plays. That is definitely one of your best plays. There's no incorrect story there. The fact that you're holding physical metals is probably one of your best plays. Over a year ago, he predicted that the price of oil would rise to 150 a barrel and that the dollar would be dead in a short time when the euro crisis hits. He says we have just 2 or 3 weeks until it happens to the U.S. Now, he's saying it didn't happen. Well, I'm saying it didn't happen yet. I know he blew this prediction about $150 to $200 barrel oil, but the euro crisis didn't hit just yet. I think when the euro crisis hits, when there's actually like a serious euro crisis, well, it ain't going to happen right away. That's what I think they're going to keep pumping it up. But at one point in time, the system in the United States is actually pumping up the euro. The Federal Reserve is actually pumping up the euro indirectly. I was alluding to that earlier today. The fact that that's going on means that it's going to break the Federal Reserve. It's going to devalue the crap out of the currency. So, the guys, like the normal guys that you listen to, like Mark Farber, Jim Rogers, they're heavy in commodities. But you know what? Where do they got their money? On paper, right? You think they're going to lose all their money? Nope. So that's not true. There's going to be a lot of money lost on paper that's in the wrong paper. But if it's in the right funds, it's not going to be lost. It's going to go up. Most people are in the wrong funds. They're in the U.S. Treasuries. That could take a serious hit. Very serious hit. He's talking about the $5 gallon of gasoline, major food prices. Now, I know these two things will go hand in hand, but he's been claiming this for some time, and I think he's completely wrong. He's talking that U.S. NATO will incite a war in Iran September, October 2012. I don't think so. You know what I think is going to happen? And it's just me talking. I don't have inside information. But I think Israel is getting extremely antsy. They're not going to wait around for these since they canceled the embargo for 6 months, for oil embargo from Iran to the European Union. They're not going to do they're not going to embargo the oil from Iran for 6 months. I'm assuming, and I think it's a good assumption, that Israel is getting really on pins and needles right now, and they're going to be urging for an attack on Iran. And I think it's going to come a lot sooner than this. But this is where I think it's going to happen, is I think oil is going to spike up super high, and then it's going to come down. It's not going to stay real high. Next fall, if it's coming down the whole economy, it's going to be coming down by the end of 2012. He claims all private fortunes will be lost that are secured to paper. I don't buy that at all. Gold will be at least $3,000. I don't know. I think it could be about that high. I think it could be $2,500 to $3,000. Gas will be $8 to $10 a gallon once war starts. It could spike that high because, if they close the Straits of Hormuz or they hit Saudi targets or something like that, it might do that. It might do that. You don't know. If a war starts in Iran and they're able to knock out Saudi refineries and stuff and oil fields, yeah, it could happen. It could happen. But I got a feeling that the American military strength is a hell of a lot stronger than even anybody suspects. despite the rhetoric about they don't have enough ships in the area. I think they, whatever they spent on black budgets for all these years, there's probably some seriously high-tech weapons out there that could probably do a hell of a lot of damage to Iran in very short order, and they probably won't even be able to react. It probably won't be able to do one damn thing offensive practically at all. That's what I think is going to happen, because the U.S. is looking at, if they don't want the oil cut off from Straits of Hormuz, it's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Yeah, he talks about he'd like to hear from Mr. X himself. Now, this whole idea with this Mr. X, to me, I think this is a bunch of garbage. Because, let me put it this way. Use your head now. I know people want to, believe this stuff, but use your head. Alex Jones knows who Mr. X is. Right? He says that. He said that many times. He knows who the Mr. X is. Well, you know what? If it's such a big secret, what secret is being kept from whom? Is it the fact that Mr. X doesn't want his identity revealed to the insiders? No. Obviously, everybody that's a real insider knows exactly who Mr. X is, because simply put, Alex Jones knows who he is, and Alex Jones stated this many times. So, he is playing 110% yellow journalism to the max. So, this fact that this Mr. X, his identity has to be kept secret, that's ludicrous beyond belief. And I know people don't want to hear this because they want to hear that there's some inside information they're getting. And I don't think everything Lindsey Williams is giving you is bad information. But there's some wingers in there. There's some wingers in there. And, don't buy into every damn thing there is, because, I think he's influencing a lot of people that are saying, the euro's going to crash tomorrow. The euro's not going to crash. It's definitely going to be around at least 6 months from now. That's what I say. That's what I say. But a lot of people would think it's going to crash because it's going to crash at one point in time. But it's going to take a while. They got a lot of tricks up their sleeve yet. A lot of tricks. They'll keep it going for a while longer. So I think a lot of this stuff is halfway BS. Halfway BS. And I like this article. I want to post a link on this guy. I think this guy's got a pretty good head, Joel Scorzin. And that's pretty much how I think about it too. Yeah. Because you're not getting all good information. And I'm going to keep throwing my thoughts out there, but I know my thoughts ain't going to be, I don't care. What I'm looking at is this way. If my thoughts are right, I make money. I make the money. So that's the way I'm looking at it. So, this guy I find is pretty interesting, because this is one of the few people who actually criticized Lindsey Williams not attacking the person, but attacking the whole situation around it. It does